Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Main Street Moments podcast. This is Kathy.
And Brian.
And we have so much to talk about. My brother actually sent me this article, so I'm going to dive right into it. Now, we've all discussed the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser many times. Brian and I have said good and bad things. We have not stayed there because we're not going to shell out $5,000 for 2 days, which is nuts.
These are the only people that have had good things to say about the Galactic Star Cruiser, okay? The kid from the Goldbergs who was a paid actor to be there.
Yeah.
The Disney Imagineers and the YouTubers and influencers that got comped when for the pre-show. They've said good things, but no one else really has.
Things, though. We did a podcast where after we saw the initial vloggers going there, it did look very cool. And it's different than a ride. It's not really a hotel. I think they marketed it completely wrong. It's an interactive experience, and it's different than anything Disney has ever offered before. It's still too much money.
There's no Star Wars there, okay? Where's
Very
Han?
little.
Where's Leia?
Exactly. That's a big problem.
But let me tell you, the Tim Tracker went and stayed on it and paid buku bucks to get all that Tim Tracker money, you know? But it was very interesting because Braden from Mickey Views was predicting something. And then when I watched the Tim Tracker's video, it proved Mickey Views, Braden, to be right. When you see the initial videos and vlogs, this is what Braden said. The vloggers and Instagram influencers and everyone want interaction, and they're theater people too, right? So there's a lot going on. If you watch the Tim Tracker stay, by the way, he stayed in the big fancy suite that costs like, you know, the Bob Iger suite, on the Star Cruiser.
Of course.
But if you watch the Tim Tracker's videos, which are very good, in the background, you'll see people that aren't like influencers and YouTubers back there, and they're just hanging out doing nothing, watching, and it's a much more uninteractive and slow and boring experience you can tell in the background.
Okay, so this article is from publication WeGotThisCovered.com. I've never heard of this, but
it's good.
My brother sent this to me.
Yeah.
And it says here, the title is Disney Can't Figure Out Why Its $3,000 a Night Star Wars Hotel Flopped. Now, I think it's $3,000 a night with 4 people, but still too much. And it's basically saying, and this is from the article, it seems like a no-brainer. Build an immersive 2-day experience for Star Wars fans in the most popular amusement park in the world, fill it with world-class amenities and interactive play, then sit back and let the fat tourist dollars roll in. But what actually happened with Disney's Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser experience was a painful lesson in price point economics. While the Galactic Star Cruiser experience may have seemed like a license to print money, I don't know who thought of that. I could have told them on day one it was a stupid idea. The reality has proven to be quite different. Fans are staying away in droves, and the obvious cause would seem to be the resort's astronomical sticker price. And I'm glad he says sticker price because you could literally buy a car for $6,000, beginning at $900 a night for a 2-night stay, which totals out to a staggering $6,000 for 4 people. With gas, grocery prices rising significantly over last year, a galaxy far, far away is separated as much by the family budget. Now, here's the deal with this. I do believe that the what's going on with gas prices and inflation is also affecting this hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you are paying $6, now gas here just went up to $5.50. It has never been that high in Florida in my entire life. If you're paying $6 a gallon or anything, it affects traveling big time, airline tickets, everything. And if you are struggling to, buy gas and buy groceries, which are double what they were 2 years ago, with inflation and everything, staying at the Galactic Cruiser is probably going to be the last thing on your list.
Which, by the way,
as a family vacation.
The Galactic Star Cruiser is a building next to the employee parking lot at Disney Hollywood Studios. That goes nowhere.
Yeah, so exactly. Still, Disney is willing to spend more money on figuring out just why fans aren't willing to drop the price.
They should ask us all.
Of a used car on a 2-day hotel. Prior guests to the resort who filled out a survey after they stay are being asked to become part of a paid focus group. Okay, let's throw more. Just, you know what? Contact us. I will tell you, give me $100 and I'll tell you everything you know. To solve what Disney apparently deems a mystery. Why did this dream experience blow up faster than the Death Star? According to the Disneyland News, those chosen for the focus group will participate in a 90-minute virtual session They're not even going to send them to the hotel to see it for themselves. And they'll receive a $175 Disney gift card, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, let's tell Disney, instead of spending all their money on a focus group, they can just read the comments in this podcast. You guys can let the focus group, you can take their place. Let Disney know, especially if you stayed there, why this was a horrible idea and why it continues to be. And the timing is not good for Disney with the inflation problem.
It's not just the price. It's not really Star Wars. There's a bunch of new characters that no one knows on a ship we never heard of.
Very true.
We said this in the beginning. It should have been a passage on Princess Leia's ship.
That would have been incredible.
With the same captain from the original Star Wars movie. Han, Leia, Luke, people we know should be there. And the whole, listen, Galaxy, there is no one who's a bigger Star Wars fan than I am.
Well, maybe me.
No, I mean,
I don't know about that.
Well, okay,
I love Star Wars.
Well, you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay,
yeah, we know. We all love it.
I went to see Star Wars in the theater in its original run in 1977. So Galaxy's Edge is a disaster.
Yes.
I agree that Rise of the Resistance is a cool ride. Now listen,
very cool ride. It says Millennium Falcon.
When I went on Smuggler's Run and I stepped on the deck of the Millennium Falcon the first time, I almost collapsed and fainted in tears, okay? I'm one of those guys.
He's not kidding.
But other than the Falcon, there's a lot missing. I told you when Rise of the Resistance, which is an amazing ride, don't get me wrong, and depending on which cast members you're dealing with, when you go on the ride, it's an amazing experience when we're with the Resistance, we're here to rescue, if you get somebody that's really good. But I said in the beginning, this land should not be the new movies. It should be all the movies, including the original.
I agree.
And Rise of the Resistance should be an adventure on the original Death Star. You're on an adventure the same time that Luke, Han, and Chewbacca are rescuing Leia with Obi-Wan. But anyway, there's a lot of time that you don't know what Obi-Wan Kenobi was doing. He was wandering around and he could be helping. But anyway, with that being said, there's not a lot of Star Wars in all of Galaxy's Edge, including the Star Cruiser. And to me, it's like the Morocco Pavilion at Epcot with some Star Wars things here and there.
Well, I think they're going to be lowering the price of this hotel.
So what's low for Disney?
Significantly, or they're going to end up closing this thing.
Like
I don't know how much money they put into it. There's not many rooms, but they're going to have to make some changes. And I think the timing with inflation and after COVID, probably not the best time to open a place like this. The economy's not the best. If it was like the 80s, or even 3 or 4 years ago, I think it would be a better time to open it. But also, it's like, really insulting to ask people to spend that kind of money.
If you are at, say, it's like the Galaxy Star Cruiser, it's like if the Polynesian, which is a beautiful hotel, it would be like, this is the Polynesian hotel, but there's no Polynesian stuff in there. That's what this is. It's vaguely Star Wars.
They could have built a regular Star Wars themed hotel that is not a Galactic cruiser, like a regular hotel like the Riviera or something.
Or the sports hotel.
That would have been cool, and that would have been extremely popular for years and years and years to come.
Pop Century.
And made the room Star Wars themed and had the people working there dressed like they're in Star Wars. That would have been amazing, but they're greedy.
Another thing, Kathy. They made this big deal about this singer that's the biggest singer in all the galaxy that no one's heard of. Okay, you have a singer, okay, whatever. The band in the background should be the original band from the Cantina at Mos Eisley Spaceport, something so you can say this is Star Wars.
There's nothing from the original, and that's the problem.
It's going to fail. It's going to fail. It already has failed.
It already is failing.
And it will fail, and that's that. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm really aggravated and very upset with Disney. They got Boba Fett out there at Disneyland's Galaxy Edge. Right. Why isn't he at ours?
Exactly. Yeah, Boba Fett should be at ours for sure. Okay, so another article. This was interesting. There's a Reddit thread. And I guess I'm not sure if it was a Disney thread or the Am I the A-hole thread, which is always lots of fun.
Oh, that's my thread. It's about me.
Okay, no. It's a very popular thread on Reddit, Am I the A-hole? It's very popular.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway.
Really?
It's really a thing. People post all kinds of crazy stories.
Yeah.
A viral post about a controversial Disney wedding has sparked debate about the psychology of Disney adults. And we did do a poll on our YouTube page about Disney adulting. A Reddit user said she spent her wedding catering budget on performances from Disney actors. Some people criticized her decision, while others defended her love of Disney. One academic went viral on Twitter for comparing Disney adults to a type of religion. A Reddit user said she spent her wedding catering budget, which is probably, obviously it depends on the number of people you have, but say it's 100 people. That's about $3,000,
Or more.
$3,000 to $4,000. We'll say $3,000 to $5,000. She said she spent her wedding catering budget on performances from Mickey and Minnie actors. That's an expensive performance. It sparked a polarizing debate after sharing her story on Reddit. Screenshots of the since deleted Reddit. Oh, she deleted it. Went viral on Twitter because people take screenshots and put them in their own Twitter feed, even though she deleted it. Oh my goodness. So it says here, there was a whole debate on Twitter. Yes, it was the Reddit AMI the A-hole thread, AITA, where users typically share controversial experiences. So it says here, some of the guests complained that there was no food at the wedding on social media. Who goes to social media to complain? I guess they were responding to this thread. She put it out there. The user did not immediately respond to their request for an interview. So a lot of people wrote different things. How ridiculous it is and selfish to not serve food at your wedding and instead have Mickey and Minnie perform. Some people thought it was a great idea. So I want to know what you guys think about this.
Well, there's there's two things here. Let's first talk about the wedding, then we'll talk about this adulting thing, right? Adult. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I have another article on that too.
The thing about the wedding is this, okay? Who goes to a wedding for the food? You go to the wedding for the drinks. So did they cut the alcohol too?
It didn't say anything about that. I doubt it. She just said, well, I don't know. Does alcohol include catering?
People when they have weddings have different budgets. I think people spend way too much money on weddings. Kathy and I, we've been married 25 years, and we eloped.
We had a very small
wedding reception. A little tiny thing. People spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on weddings. It's a waste of money, okay? You're not Princess Diana. You're not Harry and Meghan or something, okay? So it's a waste of money. But entertainment's pretty cool. And if you're into Disney and you have, Disney entertainment, I think that's pretty cool. If you like music and you rock and roll, you have a band, a tribute band or something, that's cool. I don't think it's any big deal. I think people are just who complains about a wedding?
Well, she put it on the Reddit feed, and I guess some people responded. I disagree with you on this one. I think it's extremely immature. It's their money. Don't get me wrong. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. It's a total waste of money, if you ask me. But I think it's extremely immature and selfish to invite people to a wedding.
Yeah.
And instead of providing food, which is traditional, what if not? You have Mickey and Minnie do some performance. What if they don't like Disney or Mickey and Minnie or...
Yeah.
I would much rather sit down and have a nice meal with people at a table and have a nice discussion than sit there and be forced to watch some stupid performance by Mickey. I would think they were so immature.
I would too.
So I'd like to know what you guys say. Hey, look, I love Disney. Brian loves Disney.
Absolutely.
You guys all love Disney. We're all adults in the room. But what do you think about this? Do you think it's fine that they spent their catering budget on Mickey and Minnie showing up, doing something? Or do you think it's selfish and immature like I do that to do something like this? I just would be embarrassed. I mean, you mean to tell me if we were at this wedding, you wouldn't look at me and be like, what the hell is going on?
There was no food
here?
at all of any kind?
No.
No, that's kind of weird.
There was no nobody food? Goes to weddings for food.
There was nothing to eat. They didn't have snacks?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I thought they just meant
hors d'oeuvres.
I think they meant there's no rubber chicken stuff that no one cares about.
No
there was
hors d'oeuvres.
There wasn't even potato chips.
Nothing. So you had to sit through their wedding.
At least it's a memorable wedding.
That's for sure.
The wedding of the hungry.
Reception. And now I wonder if they told people ahead of time, there's no food, so make sure you eat. Now that would have been nice.
Yeah.
If they said on the invitation, make sure you eat dinner.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people have weddings where there's no food or limited food due to economics, but this is okay, you must sit for our ceremony, then our reception, and go hungry after you've been in the wedding ceremony at the church all day.
And weddings take a long time.
Because we want Mickey and Minnie to come over. Yeah, that's insane.
Ridiculous.
That's crazy. Now, the more that I think about it, that's insane.
And let me tell you, if our daughter was planning now I'd like to know, traditionally the bride pays for the wedding. Her family pays for it, right? Did she pay for this or did her parents pay for this? And if her parents paid for this, did they approve this?
I don't know.
Did her mom and dad say,
Yeah.
go for it, blow $3,000 on Mickey and Minnie?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine, because if our daughter came to us and said, I'm planning my budget here, and I'm going to take the food money and I'm going to have Mickey and Minnie perform, I would think she was nuts, and I would tell her there's no freaking way I'm paying for that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, now, if it was her and her husband's money, which I'm assuming, they can do what they want. It's their money, but I think it's stupid. I'm sorry. I just think it's ridiculous.
One thing we were talking the other day, the two of us, about this thing called adulting, which is, I know
have an article on that, Disney adulting.
I know it's been around for a while, but you and I were talking, and I think maybe you and the audience will agree with this. Let us know in the comments. But what Kathy and I were talking about is Walt Disney World in particular. Walt Disney and the two American parks, right? Walt Disney World in Orlando and Disneyland in Anaheim, California, are getting very particular. They're like, they want to segregate, okay? And this is what I mean, not racially, but in demographics. They're doing demographic segregation. Here in Florida, they do not want children any longer at their parks.
It doesn't seem like it.
And in Anaheim, out in California, they don't want California locals. They're doing all these things to keep the locals out of Anaheim, and it seems that they don't want kids at Walt Disney World in Orlando.
Well, it says in this article, according to the internet, where all the
what does that even mean?
All the answers of life
What does that mean?
Disney adults are millennials without children who are obsessed with Disney. And this is who I feel Disney World is targeting as their main demographic that they want right now. Because you would think that somebody with kids spends a lot of money, but really they don't, because they're
on some
things, but they're on a tight budget. They don't spend as much in the stores as maybe a 25-year-old with no responsibilities and no kids and money to burn.
And who wants to look cool.
They'll drop $1,000.
And who wants to look cool on Instagram.
Exactly. But if you ask Disney adults themselves, chances are that they see things differently. Take Olivia Blank, 24. The Utah native became a massive fan in college and now runs a Disney-themed fashion page on Instagram. I think being a Disney adult just means that you're an adult who loves Disney. Well, she's just a genius. There's also Rosie, 31, from Seattle, who says Disney is her life. She has Instagram and TikTok that focuses on the company, and she even moved to Florida to be closer to Disney World. Disney adults are people who embrace the magic of Disney and don't care what others think, because their happiness is what matters. So I would love to know. Look, I have no problem with Disney adults. I'm a Disney adult. And if you're 25 and you got the money to burn and you want to go blow it at Disney World, have a good time. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think these people need to grow up and get a real job and stop reliving their childhood? Or do you think that it's totally fine? For me, it's kind of a mix. Or do you think they go overboard? These are people that are in their 20s, obsessed with Disney. But I think social media has a lot to do with it too. TikTok, Instagram.
Well, it depends on what's going on here, okay? I think a lot of people, because, you go to the parks and this adulting thing's getting carried away. It's mostly female, okay? And
I don't know about that. You think so?
Yeah, and they want to take pictures in front of everything in their Disney clothes. And they all do this one thing. When they take pictures and they're standing, they always put their one toe to the ground and have their leg up. I don't know what you call that pose.
There's certain poses.
That's that pose I'm talking about. And they will spend a ton of money on things like Loungefly. If there's some new outfit in Toy Story Land for women, they'll go buy so that they have the
Loungeflies.
They have the ride or the land outfit so that they have it on their Instagram. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they got the whole thing.
Yeah, and it gets kind of ridiculous sometimes because when you're walking around the parks and then all of a sudden it's like, remember Madonna strike a pose? They strike a pose. They're doing all these weird things. They got their arm up in the air. They got their toe to the ground. They got to get the Loungefly in the right direction. Yeah. They got to get Woody is on their skirt, so they got to get it in a certain way, and they got to be in front of the coaster when it's coming. It's ridiculous.
So clearly you
they think they're models.
Clearly you find these people annoying.
It could be.
I find them I don't really care, but they do get a little slightly annoying on Instagram with the posing and the matching this and the matching that. It personally doesn't really bother me, but apparently they interview people for this article. They said that they get a lot of hate Their friends think they're immature. They need to grow up.
I would give that. Yes, I would agree with that.
Because is it really responsible or mature to blow all your money on this stuff instead of saving it for your future? I bet a lot of them live at home.
They're mostly girls who are in their 20s, living with their parents.
And they don't have
still.
To worry about it.
You know, I wanted to, we talk about the vloggers, and there's a couple Disney vlogger updates that I want to talk about here, okay? One, which I'll talk about in a minute, one of the Disney vloggers has given up and left Florida. We'll talk. Don't want to forget that. But before we do that, we've been talking over the past few months that there just may be too many vloggers. This has been a common theme. And Michael K. in particular, Michael K., who we're fans of Michael K., we're fans of most of these people. But Michael K. is starting to turn his YouTube channel into more of a cruising channel.
Right.
And
so are a few others.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that. But what's going on with Michael K. is he's not just doing Disney cruises now. He's going to go on other cruises, right? Even celebrity cruises, which is not even a family cruise line. And I know, and that because of COVID lockdowns and its effect on the cruising industry, I take cruises. And I follow some cruising YouTube channels just to get updated on what's going on cruises. And there's a lot of cruise news. So there are YouTube channels mostly that are done by travel agents that they do to promote the travel agency on cruising and cruising news. And they get a lot of views because there really have not been that many of them that do that. There may be a dozen or so, but that's not very many in the scope of all of YouTube. So Michael K., I've noticed, has probably noticed this. So he's kind of turning his channel into like cruise, not Disney cruise, every cruise. He's going to go on all of them and Disney, but it's kind of like a 50-50 thing now. And I noticed some other people are turning their YouTube channels, some Disney vloggers, into cruise vlogs. The trackers, they're at sea more than they're on dry land, it seems.
Their channel is now a vacation vlog
Which
channel.
That kind of fits into what it should be.
Right. They go from one, well, it wasn't always like that.
Their life is a vacation.
They go from one high-end vacation to the next, literally.
But a lot of cruises.
That's kind of a new thing. They always went on trips, but now it's like literally back to back to back.
So they're doing cruises. They do things other than cruises, the trackers, but they're doing a lot of cruising. Michael K.'s going like 50%
people are
cruising.
Going to the cruising.
Jackie from Super Enthused just did a cruise. And
so why do you think that is?
Because the Disney vloggers they're desperate for new content. The views are down. There's a lot of competition because there's like 500 vloggers. So Michael K is starting to focus more on cruising, and other people say, "Well, Michael K's doing that. So now we're at the beginning of a massive trend. I know a lot of the Disney vloggers have done cruises, mostly Disney cruises, and on an occasion another one. But now I see a lot of them doing cruises. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get into that cruising market,
pivot.
And now they're going to overexpose that. So if you guys have noticed that, let us know. Now, a Disney vlogger who's not one of the most well-known vloggers, but is friends with all of them, including Adam the Woo, has given up on Disney vlogging and left Florida, and that is Danny702. Danny702, who is in with all the top vloggers, has left Florida, left Orlando, and has gone back home to where she is from, which is Las Vegas, Nevada, with her husband. And now her channel is a Las Vegas vlog channel. I imagine she'll end up at Anaheim and do some Disneyland. But if you guys look her up, Danny702, and the O is a 0, that's the area code for Vegas. So Danny702 on YouTube, she did a vlog right before she left at, I want to say it was the Polynesian. It might not have been the Polynesian. It might have been the Grand Floridian, but I think it was the Polynesian. And she talked about it, how they couldn't make it in Orlando.
Well, yeah, because her rent went up, and that's going on in Florida. It's turning into California here with the rents.
Rent prices in Florida
and home prices
are going through the roof. And
it's on the news every night.
She even talked about how she reduced the level of annual pass that she has. Right. And, and
everything's more expensive.
Everything's more expensive. The rent went up. And on top of the fact that there's been just this explosion in vloggers and the views are split so much, she left, and her and her husband moved back home to where they're originally from, which is Las Vegas, Nevada.
So what you're saying
she's
is
getting a lot of views in Vegas.
Yeah, well, Vegas is cool.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is that there's like, you see a shift with some of these vloggers now, and I think that's inevitable because there's only so much you can vlog in one place. Even Michael K is moving on and doing some other things because, how many times can you go and do a vlog on Animal Kingdom or whatever? There's not as much happening as there was before the pandemic. Things have slowed down quite a bit. And everybody was new back then.
And 500 people have been on.
There were a bunch of new people. Now they've done everything
and
10 times.
500 vloggers did Galaxy Rewind the first week. So what do you do? And exactly. I'm going to make a prediction because, and I'm going to tell you this. This is, people that are renters in Florida. I don't know what they do. Kathy and I are very lucky. We own our house. We have lived in the same house for 18 years. Yeah. So
rents are really high. Right
we're very blessed that we bought the house we live in 18 years ago. Mm-hmm. We could not afford to buy a house on our own street today. Florida real estate prices have gone up.
More than double.
And what's happening, and this is what happened to Danny 702, there's a lot of people have been migrating to Florida, obviously following Michael and Dave K to Florida.
Oh, of course,
the Florida resident.
They led the way.
No,
Pipers.
But after the pandemic and lockdowns, there's been a mass migration to Florida from around the country. Rent prices aren't just going through the roof. What's happening is what happened to Danny 702. Someone's lease expires. They got to renew their lease. All of a sudden, it's $500, $600, $1,000
The
more
landlords are really jacking up the price.
So I'm going to make a prediction. Okay, I'm out of some of the big vloggers that I believe Michael K is going to leave Florida.
You think so?
I think he's going to. Yes, I think he's going to end up going back home to Maryland, and maybe even moving in with parents. But Michael K at some point is going to have to renew his lease. It's going to be through the roof. He might survive it one more year, but that's going to be tough because the views are down. Michael K, I predict, will leave Florida. He doesn't have his brother as a roommate anymore. And I'm also going to predict that Prince Charming Dev is going to leave Orlando as well because the rents are too expensive.
Depends on his fiance. She's got a daughter here, so
I don't know.
He's tied to them now.
Yeah,
so.
well, they're not married. Of this broadcast,
I'm sure they will be,
but I'm telling you,
I think the rents. Yeah. I think you're right. The rent. A lot of these vloggers rent and don't own homes, and and
the rents are going to go through the roof.
What about paging Mr. Morrow? Now, he seems to be doing pretty well.
Paging Mr. Morrow is different. He's got over 100,000 subs, and they're real as opposed to some vloggers. Okay, and he gets a lot of views, so he's making a boatload of money. He's not Tim Tracker money yet, but he's got Pagey Mr. Morrow money, well. and that's awesome. I'm happy for him. But I'm predicting Michael K will leave Florida.
Okay, well let's see what happens. Anyway,
He'll
guys,
no longer be a Florida resident.
Oh my goodness. Guys, that's a good prediction, though. I think you might be onto something. Thanks so much for listening. Please leave your comments. We always love reading them. Good discussion going on, and we will see you guys very soon.